there and welcome back to Plow and Pantry. Today I am canning diced tomatoes. These are just plain diced tomatoes like you would use when a recipe calls for a can of diced tomatoes. And my opening shots might be weird, but I'm just trying to show you how I get set up ahead of time to blanch my tomatoes. That helps you take off the peel. If you plunge them in boiling water for like 30 seconds and then in ice water to stop the cooking, and then cut out the little core thing, the peel will slip right off. You can cut the core before you put it in the water too. Either one is fine. They both work. But I was trying to show you my setup. It's very helpful to get all the stations set up ahead of time. So there's like the boiling water, and then next to it a bowl of ice water, which you will have to add ice to if you're doing very many. I had to add ice several times during this day because I did a whole bunch of tomatoes. And then a place to squeeze the peels and seeds. I had a little chicken tub there. And then a bowl to put your tomatoes in that you're keeping. I am blanching these. I'm not roasting them because they're just diced tomatoes. I don't want them roasted. I want them to not be cooked, because when they're roasted, they're cooked. I want them nice and firm. Raw tomato is what I'm going for here. So that is how you get started. And the beginning of this process is just doing a whole bunch of blanching. Blanching. I blanched, I don't know how many tomatoes, but my largest mixing bowl was full, and I still refilled it about halfway and did more after that. So that is the beginning setup for getting the tomatoes done. Getting them in the hot water, getting in the cold water, getting them in the chicken tub, getting in the real tub, and then chop them all up. That way you don't have a whole bunch of seeds. They've been squeezed out. Also, why I like to grow Amish paste or any paste tomatoes or canning tomatoes are different is because there's not as much juice, and so it's not as messy when you're cutting it apart. There's still juice and you still have to clean it up, but this way it's not as much. And then I just dice them all up and got them into jars. I am doing pint jars today because that is the size I most often use. That is a size that equates to a can of tomatoes. I occasionally will do quarts because there are recipes I make that have like 2 or more cans of tomatoes, but most of the time I just do pints because that way it's an easy translation. These are going to be water bath canned, but I do have to add lemon juice. There is a tablespoon of lemon juice added to each jar because they're pints. If they were quarts, it would need to be 2 tablespoons. You can also, instead of lemon juice, you can add a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid. I do have citric acid in my cabinet, but I did not use that today. I just used the lemon juice. Store-bought lemon juice is what's recommended by the National Center for Home Food Preservation because the acidity is more regulated or regular versus home-squeezed lemons, which may be a little bit sweeter, a little less acidic, and a little more different, varying from lemon to lemon. I pack these jars tight because they will float when I add the water. I really think I get more tomato in a jar than what comes in a can, but it still equates the same in a recipe when I'm actually making it, so it's totally fine. I also add any tomato juice that is left in the bottom of the bowl of my chopped tomatoes. I put that in here before I put the water in. There is water that goes in these. You can also add salt, which I don't do. I like to add salt to my recipes instead of my jars or cans of tomatoes, but you can add salt in each jar too. So you'll see me emptying the bowl of tomato juice, drippings, whatever, from the tomatoes I cut, and adding my lemon juice to the jars. You see me doing 4 jars here. I just did a small group at a time. I actually canned 9 jars of this. So after you have the tomatoes in there, you top off with boiling water, and you definitely want to debubble these. There are lots of nooks and crannies for air to hide, and you don't want that. You want to debubble. See, every single jar I had to debubble and top back off because the water seeped down into empty pockets of air. These have a 1/2 inch headspace, so you just get it up to that 1/2 inch mark, including the water. And then you see me wiping the rims with my little vinegar tub, which is pretty standard that I always do. And then the lids go on, and then the rings fingertip tight, and they go into the water bath canner for about 40 minutes, depending on your elevation. And I always, when my time is done, I turn off the stove and take the lid off the canner and let it sit for 5 minutes just to let the jars settle before I pull them out. and then they just sit on the counter for 12 to 24 hours. They need to get all the way cool and not be disturbed to seal appropriately and not have the jars crack and things like that. And that is a concise video of how to can your own basic diced tomatoes. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you like and subscribe so that you can watch more. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Have a great day.